Hey guys, and welcome! We were thinking about what new decks to build, and we thought it would be nice to build a fun deck more on the niche side. Something fun but not overly done. So we started talking about this type of commanders, and we ended up with a bunch of ideas. And so the idea for this video came up. Instead of choosing just one, we decided to make a list where we would pick our favorites and decided to share them with you.
For our first pick, we have Monoxa Midway Manager. This one is a really cool looking uncommon card from the 2022's Infinity set. Also, how cool that she's a vampire employee. She reads, whenever you roll a 3 or higher, Monoxa gains first strike until end of turn. If the roll was 4 or higher, it gains menace until end of turn. If the roll was 5 or higher, it gains lifelink until end of turn. Also, pay 6, roll a 6-sided die. If you like the dice mechanic in Magic, this one might be for you. Also, due to her abilities, she also makes for a fun Voltron commander. Starting with her dice ability, is it good to note that she mentions a 6-sided die? So this can be a d20. So there are ways to try and cheat this one out a bit. Also, there are a lot of cards with the Dungeons & Dragons set that synergize really well with this mechanic. So, for her build, we could include cards like Vexing Puzzle Box, Brazen Dwarf, Hoarding Ogre, Delina Wild Mage, Will's Reversal, Chaos Channeler, and Will Blade of Frontiers. Also, these really unique looking cards from the Infinity set. 6-sided Die, Night Shift of the Living Dead, Attempted Murder, and Xeno Squirrels. For our second pick, we have Gríma Saruman's Footman. Gríma Saruman's Footman is a 1/4 that reads, Gríma can't be blocked. Whenever Gríma deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then, that player puts the exiled cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of their library in a random order. From the Lord of the Rings set, this is one that we always wanted to build, but ended up building others since there were so many options. This one might not be the most powerful as a commander, so it seems that he slipped a bit under the radar. But we have used him in the 99, and his unblockable ability paired with his stealth ability gives him a fun sneakiness that has surprised us in many games. So, building the entire deck around his abilities might be fun. This card also reminds us of Tasha, the Witch Queen. This commander pairs really well with equipments, and he is also leaning on a Voltron side. One of the best cards for this deck would be Fire Shrieker. And some other cards that would be good to include in this deck would be Combat Research, Storm of Saruman, Arcane Heists, and Autumn Soldier. For our third pick, we have Tibor and Lumia. Tibor and Lumia is a 3/3 EZ human wizard that reads, whenever you cast a blue spell, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Whenever you cast a red spell, Tibor and Lumia deal 1 damage to each creature without flying. This seems like a really cool idea for an EZ Spell Slinger deck, a Wizard Tribal, or even a Super Friends deck. The fun part of this build is that you have to build around her 2 abilities, since the card does not have flying. You will have to try to play around with this so you do not get killed in the process. This way, Archetype of Imagination, Levitation, and Wonder seem to be the perfect cards for this commander, so that you can give flying to all your creatures, including your commander. Basilisk Collar and Gorgon's Head are also great here, since if you give your commander Death Touch when the second ability triggers, you can end up killing your opponent's creatures, but also your own. However, this could end up being a very board wipe focused commander, so you should have that in mind when building it. If you are going to go for the Wizards type deck, good cards to mention are Student of Elements, Balmor Battle Mage Captain, Niv-Mizzet Parun, Adelis the Cinder Wind, Kaza Roll Chaser, Crown Violent Cacophony. Also, since her second ability only affects creatures, a good idea is to add Planeswalkers. You have great options like Ral Storm Conduit and Rowan Scholar of Sparks. For our fourth pick, we have Geist of Saint Traft. Geist of Saint Traft is a legendary spirit cleric that reads Hexproof. Whenever Geist or Saint Traft attacks, create a 4/4 White Angel creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at end of combat. First of all, the art on the card is stunning, and we do have a thing for cleric cards. Having a commander with X-Proof is a great starting point, especially since this is another one that will lean more towards the Voltron side. When he attacks, he creates a 4/4 angel with flying that is tapped and attacking, so we will want to attack as much as possible and abuse this ability a lot. For that, we can attach a lot of equipments and auras like Steel of the Godhead, Aqueous Form, Staggering Insight, and Spirit Mantle. Flavor win for this card that does exactly what our commander is doing, Invocation of Saint Traft. Since we will be attacking a lot with him and the tokens will be exiled at the end of combat, we can also add cards like Single Combat, Divine Reckoning, and Time Wipe. Also, Elspeth Stormslayer from the recent Tarkir Dragonstorm set, if you don't mind spending a bit more, is amazing in this deck, as well as another stunning card in terms of art. For our fifth pick, we have the Celestial Toymaker. The Celestial Toymaker is a 2/4 rogue artificer in Esper colors that reads: whenever the Celestial Toymaker attacks, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile any number of them in a face-down pile and the rest in a face-up pile. Defending player chooses one of those piles. Put that pile in your hand. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses 2 life for each spell or ability that caused one or more players to guess or to group cards or permanents into a pile this turn. This one is from the Secret Lair drop series Doctor Who Regeneration. The Doctor Who set brought us a lot of unique cards, and this is definitely one of them. Also, it seems that this commander is growing in popularity, maybe due to its price decreasing a bit. However, it is still a pricey commander and not easy to find. Nonetheless, it seems very interesting to build, especially with the recent news of the gets ungiven and banning, and also if you're into Doctor Who and know the character. Some good cards to include would be Atrish, Oracle of Half-Truths, Do or Die, the Toymaker's Trap, the Seventh Doctor, Liar's Pendulum, and Master of Predicaments. And since it's the Celestial Toymaker, the flavorful Creepy Doll. For our last pick on the list, we have chosen Sergeant John Benton. Sergeant John Benton is a 2/4 human soldier with trample and haste that reads: whenever Sergeant John Benton deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. So yeah, indeed another one from the Doctor Who set. This one's not as niche as the other ones, however, we believe we don't see it as much. Due to its draw ability, it seems like a great commander for a group hug deck, and once again a Voltron one. His ability makes for a great source for a political deck, where you can make alliances with your opponents and give them cards in exchange for something back. We are fans of the group hug mechanic since drawing lots of cards promotes interaction for you and your opponents, and it is a good feeling to go through the cards on your deck. Taking this into consideration, it is a good idea to give our Sergeant double strike, so we can abuse his ability and draw even more cards. So, some good includes for this deck are Flaming Fist, Duelist's Heritage, Bastion Protector, Alms Collector, and Scrolling Crawler.
This concludes our list for today. We would love to know which niche commander ideas you have and which ones would you choose. We had a lot of fun making this list, and if I had to pick a favorite, it would be Monoxa Midway Manager. And Nunu's pick would be Tibor and Lumia. If you like to support us, like and subscribe, all the links are on the description below. See you soon!